Hello and welcome to the Gooner Talk, back again with you guys for another episode of the Arsenal News Show. Join you every morning at 8 a.m. UK time. Hope you're doing good. Hope you're doing well. Thank you so much for tuning in as always and making this a part of your morning routines. It's snowing outside. I woke up this morning. No news that there was supposed to be snow today, but there's snow. I don't like snow. Just going to put it out there. Just stops things. That's no golf. That's no travelling sometimes. It's sometimes no football. Thankfully, the Emirates has an underfloor heated surface, so should never be a problem there, and they can cover it, of course, as well. But I don't like snow. I'm meant to be going to the Arsenal training ground today. At the moment, that is still supposed to be happening. I don't know how they're going to train. Maybe they'll be inside, and we'll be watching an indoor training session. But I'm going to be setting off for that in just over half an hour's time, if I can make it. Fingers crossed that the roads are going to be good enough to get there. If not, I don't know what's going to happen. But it's going to be an interesting day. But what it does mean that this show is going to be slightly shorter than usual, only around 20 minutes, because I need to get this ready and up and then leave and make sure I've given myself enough time to get there for it to start. So do bear with. It's going to be a slightly shorter show today. Good morning to people joining us live in the chat box. Let's see who's got in there first. Matt G, good morning to you, to Tony, to PJ. Good morning to Black Shine, MJ10, Johnny, Francois, Maximius. We've got Amira, we've got Carl, Temi. Who else have we got as well? Let's go to Stuart and Alpha. Good morning to you. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in as always. We'll kick off by reminding you, if you haven't already given it a watch, yesterday evening we recorded our Arsenal loan watch for the month of February. We record these at the start of the following month, so the next one will be at the start of April, which is a big month for Arsenal, of course, and who knows what the table will look like then. But we covered in depth and detail our first expert insights on Marquinhos' time at Norwich and Sambi Lokonga's time at Crystal Palace. So if you haven't yet given that a watch, that is a YouTube-only show. So if you are listening on audio platforms, hop over to the Gooner Talk YouTube channel to watch our loan report. So if you want to get hold of that, as I say, it is indeed on YouTube only, not on our audio platforms, because there's a lot of visual stuff involved in the show. Morgie says, Tom, the roads are good near the training ground. Drive safely. Good. Thank you for that piece of information. That would be appreciated. Sagi says there's under soil heating at the training ground as well. So drive safely. Well, there you go. People are knowing things and trying to help me out with my job. Brilliant stuff. Hopefully, it's all going to be fine. And I'll be there to find out whether or not Gabriel Jesus is indeed trained. Leandro Trossard, Eddie Nketiah. Make sure you stay tuned to my Twitter feed at Tom Cantor Media around 11 o'clock. To get updates on who and what has managed to make it before the game against Sporting tomorrow. Per Mertesacker is being considered for the sporting director job at the German Football Federation, DFB. Effectively, I don't know if it's the German Football Federation, the German FA, I suppose. They call the DFB, but Football Federation, I suppose, would be slightly different. But yes, DFB are considering Per Mertesacker for the sporting director job, and he is said to be kind of one of the favourites because of his work as the head of the Arsenal Academy. So Arsenal will not want to lose Per Mertesacker. This has been a story that I've heard before, and I think we talked about in 2022 as well. Nothing happened in that sense. We'll have to wait and see if anything changes in the coming weeks and months on this. We're sure to be keeping you updated on that one. Mikel Arteta reportedly has said that he wants to see Smith Rowe feature in the Arsenal front line. However, the long-term plan is more so, it seems, that he could be part of that left 8 position, and they may look to see if they can transition him into the midfield. This makes sense, if I'm honest, because not only has he shown that he can play in midfield, and his positioning that he occupied when on the left wing actually matches a lot of the positions that Granit Xhaka currently takes up when playing slightly further forward. But with Emile Smith Rowe, you've got Gabriel Martinelli, you've got Eddie Nketiah, Balogun, you've got Saka. That front line is very congested, and Arsenal won't want to lose. They will not want to lose whatsoever Emile Smith Rowe. And because of that, being able to transition him, to guide him, to mould him into a different style of player, I think is ultimately going to be the way forwards to make sure that he gets as many minutes as possible in the forward team going forwards. So there you go. Smith Rowe, midfielder in the future, not necessarily a forward. Now, our two headline stories of the day is that Gabriel Jesus is reportedly expected to travel with the Arsenal first team squad to Portugal for tomorrow's game against Sporting. Now, this is not confirmation that he will be in the squad or involved in any way, but the report that this comes out, it came out yesterday. I will obviously know whether or not he's trained today around 11 o'clock when I'm hopefully will be at London Colney this morning, unless they cancel training for whatever. But yes, it's expected that apparently Jesus will be travelling. He could be like he was at the team with the game against Bournemouth, where he warmed down with the group and ultimately was kind of gradually transition and build up the amount of involvement he's got with the team. But we are nearing that point. The same report did suggest that he isn't actually expected to be back in the squad until after the international break. I don't know how true that part is. That does seem quite a way away. That would mean the whole of March being ruled out for Jesus. I don't know how accurate that is. We'll have to wait and see. But it's going to be interesting to see Jesus, if indeed he is part of the travelling squad, out to Portugal. Now, our main story and our headline story of the day coming out of Spain is that Real Madrid are said to be considering Mikel Arteta. This report has been brought to us by Thomas Gonzalez, who is a Real Madrid journalist out in Spain, shared around by Madrid Zone on social media. And they suggest that Mikel Arteta is actually one of the main candidates potentially to replace Carlo Ancelotti in the long-term future. I don't know how reliable this Spanish journalist is. I don't know how legitimate these links are, but it came out and got shared around the Arsenal sphere this morning, was put into my work chat as well. So I thought I'd tackle it. For the record, I think Mikel Arteta is very committed to Arsenal. I imagine what we'll see is links being asked about Real Madrid in his press conferences. If you remember last year, he was linked with the move to Barcelona as well. And whenever asked about the potential to move elsewhere, he was always very committal to Arsenal, always said that ultimately he would be focused fully on Arsenal and not entertaining any chat about other clubs. That is what he would say. You know, there's no surprise in him turning down any kind of talk of other links and exits from Arsenal. You're speaking as an Arsenal employee. You're not going to answer questions about potentially moving elsewhere. So it's hardly surprising. Mikel Arteta has got, of course, his relationship with Barcelona. He came through at Barcelona as playing at Barcelona and played there. So there is that ultimate barrier. You know, think of Mauricio Pochettino. Said he would never go to Barcelona because of his links to Espanyol. There is obviously the rivalries between Spanish clubs, and maybe that would stop Arteta from wanting to go to Real Madrid. I don't know. The likelihood is that we can't really expect Arteta to stay at Arsenal for his whole career. He's a very, very young journalist, a very young manager in the sphere of football. And to expect him to be the Arsenal head coach forever, I think some people might want that based upon how he's doing right now. But to expect it to be forever is just not realistic. This isn't like Arsene Wenger coming in where 22 years later he's looking at his retiring from management effectively, although he's not necessarily had the opportunities. I don't think that he'd want to take even in his latter stages of his time capable of being a football manager. But for Mikel Arteta, this is his first job. And I say first because I don't expect it to be his last one. I expect him to have other jobs in the future. So we'll have to wait and see how and what transpires. It's going to be a sad moment when that day comes that Arteta does leave, I think, and how and where that ends and what happens to lead to the end of Mikel Arteta's tenure at the club is going to be interesting to follow the story of. So we'll continue to do that. And obviously covering Arsenal, we don't need to remind you of that anyway. Okay, that brings an end to part one. But before I do go to part two, I do need to tell you about our brand new prize, courtesy of Football Prizes. And you can, of course, get this prize with an early bird price of $3.96. Gabriel Martinelli is indeed the signed shirt that you could potentially win by going to the link in the description and buying yourself a ticket. Already, a quarter of all the tickets available have gone. Done. Finito. You will not get another chance to pick them up. So make sure you get involved. You also, by entering this competition, get a chance to win a signed and framed Thomas Partey shirt, an Eddie Nketiah signed Arsenal shirt, a Gabriel Jesus signed and framed Arsenal and Brazil photo montage, and plenty of Football Prizes site credit as well. So make sure you get involved with the latest competition, and best of luck to those that have indeed entered. And for those that entered into the Gabriel competition, if you want any details about when the draws take place, you can find that all in the link in the description. Okay, part 2. Here we go. So I have some good news on the merch front that I know that you guys have been asking about in the chat box. Hopefully tomorrow we might be able to launch the website. So tomorrow morning, if you are interested and you're based in the UK to start off with, and you've been interested in getting yourself one of our TGT caps, I'm not doing a great job of advertising it this morning because I don't have it around me. But we've got 2 designs. We've got the black and grey one, which is the one I wear, which I quite like because it matches the away kit. Or we've got a black with a red cannon on the front as well. So there are 2 designs that you could potentially get your hands on. But I'll bring you more information about when that will be available. But fingers crossed, either tomorrow or Friday. Friday's a good day to release new things, so maybe we'll do it then. But yes, indeed. Hopefully, new merch. Well, just not even new merch, just merch. And remember, this is a whole non-profit thing. So half of all the proceeds, well, there'll be a portion of it that goes to the local company that is helping to support us in this. And then the profits made from this, half of it will be going to the Arsenal Foundation, and half of it will be going to the Cancer Macmillan support as well, in memory of our good friend of the show, Vinny. So yes, that's the plan. So there you go. Right, let's jump into the chat box for some quick fire questions, because I haven't got long. Because as I said, it's going to be a slightly shorter show than it is usually. Let's go to maybe I'll do a giveaway as well. I might do some giveaways on those. By the way, I'll probably get hold of some and do some giveaways. Let's do Amira says, Tom, I'm flying to London tonight. Did you just say snow in March? Yes. Make sure you check all your flight details, Amira, and stuff like that, because there is indeed snow. But I think in London it shouldn't be as bad as it is down slightly further south where I'm based. Let's go to Jim says, any thoughts on Arsenal winning the Alpha Award for the best analytics organisation? Arsenal Analytics organisation. How have I missed this? Interesting. I've just, honestly, the way I've just tried to spell organisation is frankly a joke. Arsenal win prestigious award after being ridiculed for mysterious £2 million purchase. That's the headline on the Mirror. Alan Smith with the article. Not that's Alan Smith. Let's see what this is for. So the dust has barely settled on Reece Nelson's late and potentially season-defining winning goal on Saturday, even when Arsenal were bestowing with the best and most prestigious honour more than 3,000 miles away. At the renowned Sloan Conference at MIT, a domain where football for so long has struggled to be embraced by the wider sports data community, the Premier League side, Arsenal, won the Alpha Award for Best Analytics Organisation. And while that may not excites the average Gunners fan, it is something that will be celebrated by many behind the scenes at a club that was laughed at 11 years ago when they bought the US-based analytics firm StatDNA for $2.16 million. That was a time before metrics such as XG were embraced by the common football man and woman, with numbers game still viewed as an outsider's pursuit. Then Chief Executive Ivan Gazidis would not name the company during the club's AGM in 2012. The club's accounts showed a deal had been done with AOH USA LLC, otherwise known as Arsenal Overseas Holdings. So it goes into a lot more detail about StatDNA and stuff. But yeah, I think it goes to show, of course, that it was a good purchase. We've made some good signings. And of course, we've certainly got into a position now where we're signing players using data that has helped us to move things forward as well. Let's go to Marcus says, have you given away those headphones? No, my headphones are in my bag. I just took them to the football. I haven't taken them out of my bag at the moment. Carl says, how is Bailey? Or is there still an embargo on the news? Bailey's doing great. He's working at Google now. Bailey's having a fantastic time over there. And he was on the show the other day. So, yeah, he's doing great, enjoying himself. Very happy indeed. Camerup says, thoughts on the FA investigation on the 98th minute winner by our youth academy players to win a 3-2 game with a comeback that is quintessentially for the perfect title race. I don't know anything about
a 98th minute winner for our youth academy players. Are you talking about Nelson being a youth academy graduate? That question was worded so strangely. I was like, what? But yes, the FA, as we talked a bit about that yesterday. So if you want to kind of get my thoughts on the FA investigation into the celebrations against Bournemouth, you can go and watch yesterday's show. And we don't, Maximius, have an update on that charge, or it's not even been charged yet, as far as I'm aware. It's just an investigation into the alleged bad celebrations. Yomi says, Tom, I know Arsenal can't keep Arteta forever, but how about for 28 years of his career? Yeah, look, as long as he's being successful and as long as he wants to stay at Arsenal, I have no qualms with Arteta being Arsenal manager for as long as feasibly possible. None at all. You know, things come to an end at some point. Things will have to end. We will have to move on. We will have to move on to the next phase of the Arsenal journey, if you like. But yeah, Mikel Arteta right now is doing a great job. We don't need to worry about or start campaigning, as some do, for him to depart the team by any stretch of the imagination. Jason says, who's the biggest Arsenal hater? Richard Keys, Gary Neville, or Jamie O'Hara? Oh, I mean, it's Jamie O'Hara by a long distance, but he is a Spurs fan. So that does kind of make sense. So, yeah, it would have to be, and it would make sense to be Jamie. Drew says, do you think we need to allocate separate budget for all the sanctions that we're receiving week in and week out? I mean, frankly, the fines that we receive are negligible in the context of the money that Arsenal has available to them. But it's obviously a frustration. I'll tell you what, I think arguably the FA have made more profit than ever by charging Arsenal this season. Jayasuya says, Dusan Vlahovic's agent is looking around, waiting to see what will become of Juventus. Many clubs like the player, from the likes of Bayern Munich to Tottenham and Man United. What about Arsenal? I think Arsenal's time looking at Dusan Vlahovic has probably passed. I think that ship has well and truly sailed, and I don't think we're going to be seeing Vlahovic pop up at Arsenal in the future. I might be wrong, who knows, but I just do not see that happening at all. Let's go to Fuad, who says, Tom, don't you think it's a bit reactionary on the reports of Nelson signing an extension? It sounds like it's being pushed more on the player's side than the club. I mean, the information coming out is that the club are the ones that have initiated the contract talks. So I'm not sure necessarily, Fuad, that it's reactionary in the sense from the reports, because it's the information that's being suggested is that, and that we're certainly hearing, is that Arsenal have initiated that discussion. So no, I don't think it's reactionary. I think that they're doing their due diligence to try and keep hold of a player that they are realising maybe is better to keep hold of than to let go on a free. I don't think there's any downside at all to keeping Nelson at the club for a minimum 2 more years. I don't see any downside to it. You keep a player that you could sell on for more. You keep a player that's obviously providing an impact off the bench and is proving that now on not just one, but more than one occasion. Can play on either flank. He's probably the most versatile winger that we have in terms of playing on either side as comfortably as he does. And he's homegrown and a Hale End graduate. I mean, having that at the club is always a good thing. So there's no downsides. He doesn't take up, I don't think he affects any of our transfer business in the summer at all, because he's not an investment that stops anything. And for those that think he might take up a spot in the squad, I don't think he necessarily does. And he could always be sent on loan if that's the case, and we need to move him out anyway. So I don't think it's a problem for Nelson at all staying, if indeed we do intend to renew him. Let's go to Lynn, who's good to see you in the chat box. Lynn, Tom, VAR got it wrong again with a punch in the back of from Neto. How many apologies is the FA going to have to make before giving us the decisions? Lynn, I wouldn't hold your breath. I really, really wouldn't hold your breath, Lynn. It's unfortunately a very, very difficult situation to ever see an improving in Arsenal's favour whilst this continues to be a world where accountability does not come into the PGMOL's thinking, in short, unfortunately. Chris says there's 907 of you watching, but there's just 40 likes. Come on, guys. If you haven't already dropped a like on the video, I really would appreciate it. We'll take 2 more. One from Phil. Thanks for everything you do and keeping the fans sane. Thank you for the donation, Phil, and the kind words. I really appreciate that, my friends. Glad that you're enjoying the content. I mean, if Arsenal aren't keeping you sane this season, I don't know what to say. Arsenal are doing all my job for me. So there you go. Tim says, Tom, could you please expand on why VAR could not rule out Bournemouth's first goal? I'm just curious if they cited a reason, which is what I gather from your appearance on the Arsenal Way. I might have misunderstood. Yeah, sure. So In short, it's a very simple explanation. VAR cannot get involved with restarts. So with the way in which the game was started, so for instance, if it's kickoff or if a free kick's taken from the wrong position or if a corner is taken from outside of the corner box, let's say something like that, VAR can't get involved with that. Now, I think that's mental, just FYI. I think that's ridiculous. I think it's madness to think that that's the case. And at the same time, I think VAR can get involved for encroachment on penalties. I'm pretty sure it can. I might be wrong there, but I'm pretty sure it can. So I don't really get why it's not allowed, just in the rules, it's not allowed to get involved for that, for the kickoff for the first goal. It can't get involved in a restart in that sense. I really don't know why, Tim. I know that's not really maybe the explanation you wanted, because it's as simple as me saying it's just not allowed to get involved. But that is just the rule. It's just the rule. It's very strange. But as Tim says, I think it would have been quite petty to disallow their goal. At the same time, there is no doubt in my mind that it would have been had we scored that goal. I agree. I don't think you can start ruling out goals for that. Whilst we can all have a little bit of a joke and a moan and say it's illegal, if we'd have drawn or lost that game, we probably would have made more of it. But I wouldn't want to see clubs having that type of thing ruled out. I think there's a level of common sense that you need to add in those scenarios. Jurassic J, thank you so much for the donation, my friend. Hey, Tom, my first time catching you live. Well, thank you so much for joining in and welcome to the chat box. Do you see Tierney and Balogun staying with us next season? Tierney, no. Balogun, I think so. I think that's where my head's at right now. But to be honest, Jay, you could ask me in a week's time and I might have changed my mind. It's just the way things go with Arsenal at the moment. Anyway, we're going to wrap the show up there. As I said, it's a short one today because I've got to try and give myself enough time to get to the Arsenal training ground for when I need to be there. Because as I said, it snowed here this morning. So travel is a little bit crazy. So yes, it's going to be a little bit mad trying to get up there. But thank you everybody for tuning in. Really appreciate your time as always. Do indeed drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you're new. We will be doing a preview for the Sporting game tonight, 6 p.m. I'm going to be jumping into the members Discord today to ask for people to jump on for the preview show. For those of you that have not been coming on because of superstitions about messing up our Premier League title race, maybe with the Europa League games now back, you'll be happy to jump on that train. But I'll be jumping into the Discord shortly to ask for people. But thank you everybody that's tuned into today's show. If you are traveling around the UK today, make sure you stay safe on the roads and places and walking and all that, because it is snowy, it's going to be slippery. So do make sure that you stay safe, stay well. Yeah, keep tuning into the shows. Go watch our loan report from yesterday on YouTube only. Thank you for that. I'll see you again soon. And as always, up the Arsenal.